Well, let's now speak to Robb Butler, who's the Special Envoy for the World Health Organization in Europe. He joins us live from Armenia's capital, Yerevan. Mr. Butler, thank you very much for talking to us on Al Jazeera. What is your assessment first of the humanitarian and health situation in Armenia right now? It's dealing with a large influx of people coming in from Nagorno-Karabakh. Can it cope?
Yeah, I've just come back from Goris late last night. I'm in Yerevan at the moment, and what we saw in Goris was an incredible sight, and of course, phenomenal needs. As you quite rightly said, 100,000 individuals have passed the border. Goris, of course, is the first point of this first village or town that they reach, and it's an immense burden on the local health and social services in Goris. We've seen issues around chronic diseases, people needing support and services, medicines and drugs for chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases, but also malnutrition, perhaps most concerningly amongst the elderly and the most young. Also burns victims from the explosion 5 days ago. A phenomenal sight here this morning, heartbreaking to go, as I have, to the local National Burns Centre here in Yerevan, where all 80 beds are occupied with severe burns victims. WHO trying to mobilize burn specialists now to Yerevan and to Goris to, of course, support the needs, and the needs are quite massive at this point.
You've been to the burn center in Armenia there, and I do want to hear more about that because, of course, that explosion last week at that fuel depot caused extensive injuries to the people who were there. Can you tell us more about the people who've been injured and how they're being treated in that burn center?
Yeah, they've been treated with, I mean, this is a small country. We have less than a handful of burn specialists in it. So our first port of call yesterday as I arrived was to mobilize our member states, the countries of the WHO European region, Belgium, Israel, Lebanon amongst them, to mobilize and to send burn specialists. So we have burn specialists on the way here now to support the 4 burn specialists they have in the country. They've done a remarkable job here in Armenia. The Minister of Health has a terrific team. In the burn center itself, every bed is filled, as I've said, mostly by men who were there, of course, refueling cars or canisters or tanks at the time. So it was a very harrowing and disturbing sight to visit that center this morning.
Mr. Butler, as you said, this crisis is certainly putting a lot of pressure on Armenia, on its social system, its health system as well. What does Armenia need right now to deal with such a large influx of people? What are the needs on the ground, and what is your message to the international community?
Well, the first need is accommodation. They need somewhere to sleep at night. There's 20,000 people a day cross that border for the last 5 days. That is unheralded. We can't put that into perspective, many of us living in Europe. So the first thing is accommodation. Secondly is making sure that they have clothing, they have water, they have food. And it's been a remarkable show of solidarity and community cohesion. What we've seen yesterday in Goris was quite remarkable. An army of volunteers and villages from across the region accommodating these populations, setting up centres for them to sleep, people opening their houses. It is a remarkable mobilisation of public support, but it's also a remarkable organisation by the Ministry of Health. The Minister of Health I met this morning, I had to applaud them because this is not something they saw coming in such a sudden way, and seeing such waves and such an influx of refugees was in nobody's plans. So locally they're doing a great job, subnationally and nationally they're also doing a great job trying to integrate these refugees. But of course the acute needs are accommodation, medical needs, chronic diseases are a particular concern, and making sure that there is this continuation of support, services, treatment for those that need treatment for chronic diseases particularly.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Robb Butler is the Special Envoy for the World Health Organization in Europe, speaking to us there from Armenia's capital, Yerevan. Thank you for your time.